A system can't do a good job for children if it's torn apart by adults.
A popular superintendent who worked in a district torn apart by politics shares her perspective as Dougco students walk out in protest of the firing of their superintendent.
Denver's had a camping ban in some shape or form for nearly 10 years. Aurora's mayor wants to do something similar.
Black history is Colorado history. 2 new schools in Aurora honor Black Coloradans in name and action.
It's been a tough weekend for some of Team USA. A lot more competition is still coming up.
That's not really the number that you want to look at when you're thinking about how much does skiing really cost.
Skiing is absurdly expensive. How did it get that way? 9 News at 10 starts now.
A shooter is still on the run after 3 people were shot at a church in Aurora Friday night.
Police say that a woman was targeted at her home church by a former partner. 9 News reporter Mark Salinger spoke with Adela Madrid's family.
She built herself a communal family there with everybody at the church, and everybody knew who my mom was and loved her.
Adela Madrid found comfort at the Iglesia Faro de Luz in Aurora. Her church was special to her.
She was an avid churchgoer, and ultimately that's where she lost her life.
Days after a man arrived at the church with a gun,
I can't believe that my mom was killed.
Adela's family is mourning.
Miserable, painful, overwhelming.
Her 16-year-old daughter Adea is pleading for help finding the man who shot her mom.
Because I want justice for my mom, because my mom didn't deserve this. And nobody does. Nobody deserves this.
Police are still searching for 31-year-old Jose de Jesus Montoya Villa. Adela's brother David says they had been in a relationship before.
As far as we know, there was a breakup, and she didn't want to have nothing to do with him.
They took her from all of us. They took her from this world that she loved helping everybody in.
Adela was a healthcare worker, treating patients as a nurse at St. Joseph Hospital. Her mother, Carmen, just wants justice.
And she was such a loving person for everybody. Please help us get him. We have to get him off these streets.
A life taken too soon, and a family left behind.
It's going to be hard without her here now.
In Aurora, I'm Mark Salinger, 9 News.
2 pastors were also hurt in that shooting. Anyone with information is asked to call Crime Stoppers.
2 Arapahoe County Sheriff's deputies are recovering tonight after one was hit and run over by a car and the other was stabbed with a fishing hook. They were called to a home in Centennial, northeast of University in Arapahoe, about a guest who wouldn't leave. Investigators say the suspect was sitting in his car when a deputy arrived. That's when the suspect hit the gas and ran the deputy over. Deputies chased the car for less than a block. It ended with the suspect stabbing a deputy with a fishing hook and then being tased. Both deputies will be okay.
Students across Douglas County walked out of class this afternoon to protest the firing of the district superintendent, Corey Wise. Dougco School Board's conservative majority voted Friday to fire Wise without cause. The teachers union is predicting that this will cause teachers to leave. The board director announced tonight the district is going to be losing a much-loved special education services officer, Sid Rundle, who's been with the district for 28 years. In a statement, Dougco School Board President Mike Peterson said in part, quote, "I recognize this is an emotional time for our community, and I want you to know I'm committed to restoring peace and unity with a continued focus on educating our children." Appearing on KOA radio, Peterson said that the superintendent was fired in part for not refuting rumors that the board had gutted Dougco's equity policy. Meanwhile today, a political group backing the conservative board majority praised them for gutting the equity policy. The board president said on KOA that the superintendent also wasn't doing enough to stand up to the teachers union, which does not have collective bargaining in Dougco.
To extend this even for a few weeks or months, you're giving into the union. And if you do that and allow the union to come into the educational process, you're going to see more sick outs, more student walkouts, and more coercion of parents, other teachers, other staff members in the community. And I was unwilling to let that happen.
About 8 years ago, there were student walkouts in Jefferson County over school board decisions.
Similar politics, similar situation. And there in Jeffco, longtime, well-respected superintendent decided to leave. She says she felt driven away by the newly elected school board. 9 News reporter Katie Eastman spoke with Cindy Stevenson for her perspective.
The school board controversy is unique in Douglas County. But go back in time to 2014, and circumstances in Jefferson County feel similar.
A decade ago, I was still superintendent in Jeffco Public Schools, and I was superintendent there for about 13 years. So it was a labor of love. I loved every day of it.
When 3 conservative board directors were voted in, former Superintendent Cindy Stevenson felt the days become difficult.
There wasn't the love of the system and of Jeffco. There was far more of an attitude of, we want to dismantle this and change it and make it different. I knew this wasn't going to work. And so finally I just said, look, you need to hire somebody that you want, that you can work with, and I need to walk away. And that made them very happy, and I walked away. And I was very sad.
Stevenson went to school in Jeffco and had put in nearly 45 years in the district as a teacher, administrator, and finally superintendent.
I will be gone before the end of the month, and I just want you to know.
The community didn't like the decisions the board made, and they ended up getting rid of the 3 conservative directors in a recall election.
So it was quite traumatic. It was very disruptive, and I think it took the district a long time to recover. I think they have, but I think it took time.
The story in Douglas County might have different details, but the archetypes stayed the same.
If the fury continues, if people stay angry, I believe there will be a recall election. Will it be successful? I don't know. I can't predict Douglas County voters.
Katie Eastman, 9 News.
More than 20,000 people have signed an online petition calling for a recall of the 4 conservatives on Dougco's board. Online petitions don't count in official recalls, and state law requires elected officials to hold office for at least 6 months. So that process could not even begin until May.
The leader of Jefferson County's Public Health Department resigned today. Don Comstock is out as Public Health Director following a 2-hour closed-door meeting today with Jeffco Board of Health. Comstock had been in the job for all of a year. She's often criticized by conservatives who claim that she was too willing to adopt mask mandates.
Colorado's known for its skiing, but the cost to get on the mountain just continues to rise.
Yeah, ski passes, you got your gear. Fact is that it prices some Coloradans off the slopes entirely. 9 News reporter Mark Salinger looks at how we got here.
There's a difference between having fun and working. Today, we're working. We're on a mission to find out why skiing is so expensive. A day on the slopes can come at a steep price.
There's no doubt it is expensive to get into skiing.
A day pass at Vail can cost nearly $220 this month. Breckenridge isn't much cheaper, with ticket window prices up to $200. At Copper, it'll set you back $190 most weekends.
That's not really the number that you want to look at when you're thinking about how much does skiing really cost.
Ticket window prices can be high, very high. But Melanie Mills at Colorado Ski Country USA says very few people actually walk up to the ticket window and pay that listed price.
That's like saying every time you get on an airplane, you go out to DIA and walk up to the ticket counter and say, give me a ticket to New York. Very few people do that.
Well, Melanie says the average ticket window price last year was $180. The average price most people ended up paying for a day of skiing was $65. That's when you factor in discounts, season passes, buddy passes, and yes, those expensive ticket window prices.
The emphasis on season passes in Colorado and across the country has really developed intensely over the last 12 to 15 years.
The Epic Local Pass this year cost $583. You can pay that off skiing just 3 days at Vail or Breckenridge. The Icon Base Pass costs $779. Around 4 days at Copper or Winter Park will pay that off.
But I remember when the ownership at the time was discussing raising it to $25. I think we were at 21, and that was early in the late 80s, early 90s.
Rob Goodell is the chief operating officer at Loveland Ski Area. Ticket window prices here at one of the few family-owned ski areas in Colorado are a comparatively cheap $94.
People don't realize all the resources that go into maintaining a ski area.
So what makes skiing so expensive?
We'd all love to ski on groomed terrain. One of those snow machines costs more than most houses cost.
Lifts cost upwards of $10 million a lift.
It takes a lot of bodies to run a ski area.
Labor is our biggest operating costs, closely followed by energy.
Labor costs are going up as ski areas invest more in employees, including in employee housing. In the middle of so many trees, the cost of wildfire insurance is also rising. Eventually, the cost trickles down to the skier.
If the ski area were to be overcome by fire, the losses would be enormous.
So it's no longer just the rope tow or the T-bar or things like that. It's, it's mechanical lifts, it's a larger base lodge, it's restaurants, it's a resort village, it's condominiums.
In our quest to find out what makes skiing so expensive, we couldn't ignore the past.
It's the longer history, I think, that you have to look at to really understand how skiing as an industry sort of positioned itself to frankly be able to charge those prices.
Bill Philpott teaches history at the University of Denver, focusing on Colorado history. When the world started finding out about skiing here, he says ski areas saw an opportunity.
When skiing gets kind of tied up in sort of notions of glamour and prestige, to be blunt, it can charge more.
Thanks a lot, celebrities skiing at Aspen.
They welcomed it because they knew that would sort of buttress their image of prestige and luxury, and they also knew that there would be people who would pay it as a result of that.
So next time you grab your skis, poles, boots, helmet, goggles, gloves, pants, and coat and realize you've already spent thousands of dollars before you're even on the lift, at least now you know why you'll be paying hundreds more when you get to the mountains. Now, the smaller the ski area, the better a deal you can get. Powderhorn Resort, for example, on the Grand Mesa, sells season passes for $299, which is almost the price of one day at Vail with those ticket window prices. Sunlight Mountain Resort in Glenwood has $65 day tickets, and if you buy two, you get a discount and a six-pack of root beer. There's a deal.
Okay. There are those bargains they offer for elementary school kids. Fourth grade, fifth grade, but it's
those
otherwise.
Fourth, fifth, and sixth grader passes that Ski Country USA offers. That's how I got into skiing when I was little.
Yeah.
And those are designed to get kids in with a cheaper or even free discount rate and get them hooked on skiing for the rest of their lives.
Yeah. But then mom and dad.
Then they have to foot the bill. And that's the thing that strikes me is that skiing is something that Colorado likes to embrace as part of its identity. Yet the fact is a lot of people are priced out of doing it.
I mean, we talk about there in the story about the ticket window prices or the lift ticket prices or anything like that, but that's just the beginning. Then you talk about lodging, lessons, transportation, parking, food, all of that stuff, and it quickly adds up to become very expensive.
Prestige and luxury.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. All right. Interesting stuff. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it. Aurora's mayor is once again trying to get a homeless camping ban in his city, and this time he has a conservative majority council behind him.
Students in Aurora will soon have two new schools to choose from, both honoring Black history in Colorado.
Sunshine and 50s to start the week, cooler, windy weather, and a chance for snow to end it. I'll have the extended forecast in detail coming up.
America, the future.